Guys, welcome back to Coding Rail. So this is the point we have left in our previous video. Now from here we will start implementing tree set with some class object. So let's get started. So guys, for implementing tree set with class object, first we have to create that class. But before creating class, let's remove this unnecessary elements. We will use iterator, so we will keep it as it is, not descending, but we want only iterator. Let's import this java.tutil, remove this also, and uncomment this part. Yeah, this is looking pretty much good now. And here we will create one class student2. So there is no any duplicate class called student2. So here we will start implementing the properties. So we will say private int roll number, private int, or make it float, marks, private string name. I think that is enough for the property part. And for setting the data, let's create one method. We won't use any constructor here. Let's implement method called set student. And for retrieving data, we will say not for retrieving directly, but here we want to display our data, so get student. So for setting the data, we want parameter here, int roll number, float, marks, and string name. This dot roll number is equals to roll number, this dot mark equals to mark, this dot name is equals to name. So this is done. We are done with setting part. And for getting the data, let's say here name as name, this is for some extra space. Roll number will be roll number, and here the marks will come marks. So we are done with our student2 class setting and getting the data. So here we have to create student class object student2 s1 new student2. So here I want to tell you one thing. We are using here string generic type, but here now we will use student2 type because we will be adding student2 object data. Let's suppose we have 5 students and we have to enter those 5 student data. Let's enter first student data, set student roll number, let's say 5, marks 80, name is John, and roll number is 3. Now here we have to add those student object. We have added all the object. Now we have to retrieve. So let's run the program. The error says class gets exception. So class collection student2 cannot be cast to class Java comparable. Collection student2 is a name module, blah 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 blah. So here the thing is, it's saying it is not a comparable class, so we have to make student2 as comparable class. So for that we have to implement comparable interface. For some method we have to implement those unimplemented methods. So for that, add unimplemented method, and that method is compare to. So for now, let's don't do anything with compare to method, and simply we will run the program. So as you can see guys, we have only one object. Why? Because we are returning here 0. If we'll say here +1, now whole data will display. Now I will tell you what is the story of +1 and 0 later, but here we are retrieving object. We don't want to retrieve object here. For retrieving the data we will use for each method, and because here if you will use #set as next or iterator, we have to cast it again for student2 class. I will show you how. Here we are saying next. Why this error is coming? Okay, now if I'll say has next, it will return those object, but we have to cast it. For casting we will use here student2, and here we have to say now get those student. So this is very lengthy process already displaying the data there, so we have to simply call those method only. But here if I'll use for loop, so here I have to simply say student2 st tree set and st dot get student. That's it. No any casting, nothing else, because we are already adding the data as student, so we have to retrieve it as a student. No casting will be required. So now if I'll run the program, so as you can see guys, all the data is coming format as we have added, because there is no any algorithm we have written inside compare to. We are saying simply return +1. So the +1 is no shifting is required or no swapping is required, just insert the data. Means here we are retrieving data as object. The compare to method parameter is object. So whenever we are inserting this student class object inside tree set, so while calling add, compiler will automatically call this compare to method, and here it will check those data. So for checking data, let's cast this object as student2. Why we are doing this casting method? Because the compare to method parameter is as object type. So arg0 student2. Now we have object called st, that is student2 object. Whenever we are inserting data into tree set, those object will come here as st, and here we have to check if this roll number that already present inside this class, this roll number, if this is less than upcoming roll number, so the upcoming roll number will be this st dot roll number. If this is, if the existing roll number is less than upcoming roll number, so we will not swap those object. So -1, if we will return -1, that means we won't swap those data. You might have remember this sorting technique we have done in our previous videos. So while sorting, we have to swap larger element to the end part, to the end side, or we have to shift all the smaller element to the left side if we are doing ascending sorting. For descending sorting, we have to swap bigger data or larger data into the right side. So swapping is required for sorting. So here -1 it says no swapping required, else if roll number, the existing roll number, if this is greater than upcoming roll number. So in this time we will say swap the data. So for swapping we have to return +1, and if the data is equal, so as this is set or tree set, here we have to maintain its main property that says set or set does not allow any duplicate value. So for avoiding duplicate value, we have to return here 0. That means don't allow that object if the data is equal or that roll number is equal to the existing roll number. Logic for tree set, we have to implement comparable. This is must because we need compare to method, that is the part of comparable interface. This is abstract method, so we have to implement this interface to get compare to method for comparing this roll number to insert this object into tree set. So let's run this program again. So guys, as you can see, now the data is sorted according to roll number 2, 3, 5, 6, 10. Now if I'll say here, let's add one more object as 6, and the roll number I will say here 6, 20, XYZ. Here we have to add this object. Now let's see this object will be added or not. So as you can see guys, we have only 5 object here, because here we are saying if the object is equal to the existing object's roll number, don't add it. But here if I'll say +1, so now the object is added, where it is this 6, and 6 is coming twice. So this is, now we are allowing if the object is equal, add that object also. So this object will be added after Alex, because it's saying add it to the right side. +1, that means add it to the right side. Here if I'll say -1, it will add XYZ first, and it will swap this Alex to the right side. So here if I'll run, means don't allow. If you want the same result in descending order, here you will say +1 and -1. So the object is now in descending order, because here we will say if the roll number is less than the upcoming roll number, so swap it to the right side. Existing roll number will be swapped to the right side. So this is enough, I think, from this video, because my battery is also going down. So that's it from this video guys. I hope you have understood this whole concept. Try it on your own system. We'll see you on the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, subscribe to the channel. It's Coding Rail signing off from now. Have a nice day.